5, 6, 7, 8.
Hi EXers, welcome to the EX Podcast episode number 31. This is your host, Stefan Vincent. I've started this podcast because I believe that companies have to think of themselves as employment brands if they hope to attract and retain talent. The podcast brings a different lens to the employee experience, a brand and customer experience perspective rather than a traditional HR perspective. Our guests, all thought leaders and disruptors in the EX space in their own way, come to this show to debate, discuss, and share best practices on the key components that foster employee engagement and strengthen company culture, and also to spark the conversation on how to create positive employee experiences. One size doesn't fit all. What Airbnb or Google do around the employee experience may not be applicable in a smaller company. And this is what this show is all about. Sharing stories of companies of all sizes, not only to show that EX doesn't require a large budget or large team, but also that there isn't one recipe. Each company can find its own way through the EX journey. Today's guest is Heidi Jannenga, co-founder and president of WebPT, based in Phoenix, Arizona. With 30% market share, WebPT is the leading rehab therapy platform for enhancing patients' care and fueling business growth. Launched in 2008, the company has ranked on the Inc. 5000 list of America's fastest-growing companies 4 years in a row. Today with Heidi, we will talk about how WebPT successfully scaled up its culture through 9 years of rapid growth. We'll talk about the company's EX initiatives and what they call the culture cruise, which lessons WebPT has learned in those 9 years and the adjustments that they've made. What is the place of technology in the employee experience as a SaaS company where tech is at the heart of its business? And what key metrics WebPT has put in place to measure the success of EX efforts and the impact on the business? This week's EX podcast is sponsored by Structural. Structural unleashes the potential of people and teams by giving organizations real-time mobile access to employee data. Find, engage, and retain talent with a Structural employee success platform. EX podcast listeners can visit structural.com/EX podcast to get access to the latest employee experience resources, including the Employee Success Playbook featuring 10 research-backed methods to improve business outcomes. I hope you enjoyed this conversation with Heidi. If you get a chance, please make sure to review the podcast on iTunes. You can open the iTunes app and type in Stefan Vincent or EX Podcast and you will find us there. And last thing, if you want to send me feedback, suggestions for future topics or guests, you can reach me at svincent@exsummit.com or on Twitter at EX_summit. Thanks for your support and loyalty. Let's get to it. Hi everyone, welcome to another episode of the EX Podcast. Very excited for today's guest, Heidi Jannenga. She is the co-founder and president of WebPT based in Phoenix, Arizona. So Heidi, thanks for joining us today.
Thank you for having me. This is exciting to be here.
So for those who don't know you and who don't know WebPT, what is your background and what does WebPT do?
So I am a physical therapist. I have been practicing physical therapy for just over 20 years. And back in 2006, as I was working as a sports physical therapist and had moved into a director role of a multi-site practice here actually in Tempe, Arizona, being the clinic director, I also had P&L responsibilities. And as those who have been in the world of that reimbursements for payment for services over the years has steadily declined from insurance companies. And so if your top line's going down and you want to maintain a bottom line, you kind of go towards your expenses and try to see what you can cut. And one of our biggest expenses was transcription and dictation. And so as I kind of looked around at what the other options were, many of our referring physicians had started to transition into using some sort of digital platform or electronic medical record. And so I thought there had to be something out there for physical therapists too. And when I enlisted my eventual co-founder, who was a technologist and seasoned entrepreneur, to take a look at what was out there, we didn't find anything that was A, going to meet my needs, or B, that I could actually afford. And so we decided to put our heads together and build something that originally was just supposed to be for my practices. And within 9 months, we had an application up and running. My therapist were giving me positive feedback. Within a few other months, some of my colleagues around the area were also interested. And within another 6 months, we had 10 clinics up and running. And so, within, a year and a half, we had, 13 clinics using our platform, giving us very positive feedback. So we did a little market research, and we found that 80% of physical therapists were using pen and paper at the time. So the problem that I was having actually was a systemic profession problem, industry problem, and not just unique to myself. And so we decided to launch the company in 2008. We sold 5 clinics that very first month. And if you fast forward to today, almost 10 years later, we actually are the leading rehab therapy software platform in the U.S., one of the fastest growing companies in Arizona. And we serve close to 75,000 users across all 50 states and Guam and Puerto Rico as well. And we have a third of the market of outpatient physical therapy practices. So we're serving just over 10,000 practices across the U.S.
That's very interesting. So tell us, what is a typical day in Heidi's life?
Typical is an interesting word, because one of the things I love is that there is no typical days. Every day is different. There's challenges. But the unique thing, the steady state, is really my home life. I have a 6-year-old daughter who, the rest of my non-business time truly revolves around. And so I get her to school, get her breakfast in the morning, but even before that, usually I wake up around 5:30 and get a workout in. So I love to do yoga. I do regular sort of weight training exercises as well. And then we eat breakfast, get to school, and then my workday starts at the WebPT office. Our offices are located right in the downtown warehouse district of Phoenix. And it's an exciting place that, even today, I love to come to work to every day. And I help to sort of lead the product vision and the direction of the company, and really work closely with our employee success team to help with nurturing and developing the culture components of WebPT. And then when that day's done, it's dinner with the family and get some good night's sleep, and then it's off to the races again the next day. So that in a gist is sort of what happens. But I do travel. I travel to conferences. I do a lot of public speaking now, which is fantastic. Mentoring with entrepreneurs and also other sort of physical therapists and practice owners. Every day is an exciting, new, and a different day, which, at the end of the day, there is rhyme and reason, and there is rhythm, but just, I love sort of the different challenges that every day brings. That's
good. So as you said, WebPT was founded in 2008 and has grown exponentially since then. At the same time, it's always been known and respected for its strong company culture. So first of all, how many employees do you have now? And could you describe what is WebPT's culture and employee experience in general?
Sure. So We, as I mentioned, are located in the downtown Phoenix warehouse district. We have just over 300 employees. The majority of them are here in downtown Phoenix. However, through acquisition and sort of need, we started a small hub in Denver, which is our data team. And then through acquisition, we have a small hub in Chicago and also in Boston. And so we have, employees, scattered, some scattered, also working from home in different locations as well. But the majority of people are here in downtown Phoenix. Sort of the culture of WebPT, we have a very unique culture. I would say that it is very collaborative, fun. It allows you to be your unique self, bring that individuality and sort of that that personality to every role. We sort of want to guide you to help actually make sure that you have that ability to truly be your authentic self every day when you come in. We've consciously built an environment in which it's a very people-first environment in which every individual not only matters, but truly feels invested in our overall vision. And we live by these team commitments, as we call them, or core values that were actually developed out of our team. It wasn't a top-down sort of, hey, these are what our core values are going to be. But those culture commitments started back in 2010. We had this ritual that we did annually, which was kind of a mini strategic planning session where we had the entire team together and we reviewed sort of what do we do really well last year and what are our goals for the following year. And this particular year, we also asked the team, who do we want to be as an organization, and what do we want to stand for? What do we want to be known for? And we filled up a giant whiteboard, which got distilled down to now into our core values, which are core values, which are service, creating raving fans, work ethic, which is be rock solid, accountability, F up, own up, community outreach, which is all about giving back, attitude, which is possessing true grit, resource efficiency, which is do mas with menos, personality is be minty, and health and wellness, which is all about living better. And so those sort of 10 commitments have really been with us now since then. And one of the great things that I love about it is that they've been scalable over these, 7+ years post. And we lead a very employee-centric organization as well. We have a very transparent sort of system in which communication is stressed. Open, honest communication is stressed. We are open with our financials, so everyone in the organization, from executives to entry-level employees, understand how we're doing as an organization, profit-wise, loss-wise, where things are working, where not things are working, or where things aren't working. And at the end of the day, we want to create an environment where people love to come to work every day, where people, our team spends more time here usually at work than they do at home. And we want to really create an environment where they want to come to work. We want them to live good, healthy lives. And so, happy employees equals happy customers, which we're a big proponent of. And so customer service is a high level, high bar of customer service is also a part of truly who we are as a company and part of our culture.
How has it been to scale up the culture in 9 years from just a handful of employees to 300 as you have right now?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's a conscious effort. Right. We have a budget towards our culture, and it is constantly something that we nurture, and it's completely enveloped into everything that we do. So if you read our job descriptions, it oozes of our culture in the language that we use and sort of how it makes you feel when you read it, because it's just not your normal job description. When you come in for an interview process, there are multiple interviews in which, we really try to peel back the onion to get to the person who is going to be coming to work every day, not just the facade of the person that's in the interview process, right? And we always try to bring our best best self and want to anticipate all the questions. Well, we have a huge bank of questions that you've probably never heard in another interview prior to coming to WebPT. And then, through once you are actually a WebPTer or part of the WebPT team, you'll hear those core values. They're not just, words on a wall. We use them in our everyday language. We stress them in everything that we do. Your performance review, you will see all of those core values that you're actually being evaluated on from day one. I think that's really how we've been able to scale our culture and have it truly be a foundation of our success. And that everybody understands these are sort of your guideposts, your guidelines of the expectations within the organization. We early on, I'm a huge avid reader, and we subscribe to sort of different philosophies. One of them being, the motivation of our employees, innovation, and constant productivity is really important for a fast-growing startup, and now into our fast growth phase in which we're in now. And one of my favorite books is by Daniel Pink, and it was a book called Drive, and it was all about what motivates people. And autonomy, mastery, and purpose are really the three things that he talks about. And so from the beginning, we've had this, strong vision of our mission of, helping to empower therapists to achieve greatness in practice by creating a efficient and intuitive platform. And so everybody sort of rallies around that achieving greatness in practice sort of mantra that we want to create, these raving fans with every customer interaction that we have. And then the mastery comes in with our training and our career pathing that we have within the organization. And then, autonomy really comes in for us around those core values. And hiring, with every hire, we hire for culture. So we're looking for those sort of traits in the folks that we're bringing into the organization, from executive level down to, again, entry-level employees. We brought in a new CEO last year in October of 2016. And it's remarkable how awesome she has been to be additive to our organization. But, even at the CEO level, from our internal senior management team who were involved with her hire, even to our venture capital partners, that they really believe sort of in how strong our culture is. And that has to be a cultural fit in order for a new person to kind of be brought into the organization and thrive and be successul here.
So how do you make the culture, how do you bring it to life on a regular basis? Could you share with us some of the employee experience initiatives that you've implemented?
Sure. So let's talk about when a new hire joins a team. When a new hire joins a team, we do a week-long sort of onboarding process that we call our culture cruise. It's all about, the new employee feeling the experience of what it's like to be a WebPTer. We talk about the history and where we've come from, because it's vastly different than where we are today. We talk about the core values and sort of what that means to the organization, and how those are sort of your boundaries in which we like you to operate in. And we also have every employee, they don't sit in the actual desk in the department that they were hired in for at least 3 days. We have every employee go around to every single other department and sit and listen and learn about, what happens in sales, what happens in product management, what happens in customer service, what happens in integrations. Because we feel like it's really important to understand how you fit into the overall organization and what our vision is as we're moving, what we're all moving toward, and also who we're serving. So learning what a physical therapist does on a daily basis, and rehab therapists. So not only PTs, but occupational and speech language pathologists as well. Who are they? What are their personas? What do they look like? What does a clinic feel like? And how are they using our platform? And how does that work as a mission critical application that they have to be using on a daily basis? So all of that happens just in that first week. And then, of course, it's like drinking from a fire hose. But we're very surprised with people that even no healthcare experience, have never stepped foot into a PT practice before, can come in and truly feel, like they are part of the team and understand that vision and really get engrossed in what we're doing and feel committed toward it, which is awesome. Another thing we do is we host annual company awards. So we have a holiday party at the end of the year. Every month, actually, we celebrate a culture champion. So it is nominees from every department, every employee. Any employee can nominate somebody from their team, and they have to give explicit reasons why this person should be the culture champion of the week. Of the month. And then at the end of the year, we do the annual awards. And so we honor folks in every one of the different core values. And then we also have what we kind of the Employee of the Year, if you will, which is dubbed our Topper Award. And Topper was our yellow lab that we had when we first started the company. We're a dog-friendly, animal-friendly company, so you can actually bring your dogs to work.
Oh, really? That's funny.
Yeah. Yep. And so Topper was the very first dog that we had, and unfortunately in 2014 he passed away from valley fever. And so his legacy lives on in the Topper Award, which is really an award that celebrates someone who, truly kind of embraces and demonstrates all of the core values sort of wrapped into one.
Do you guys do anything around wellness? You mentioned it earlier, and
Yes.
Since you're a physical therapist, what do you do around wellness and employee well-being?
Yeah, so that's one of our other big core values, and being a physical therapist and a healthcare IT company at the end of the day, that's something that we really push a lot. We have really a wide variety of company-wide programs and competitions and incentives. We did a Biggest Loser challenge, so we actually had, similar to what you saw on TV, we kind of had one of those that we did for a full quarter. We do step challenges. So we have steppers that we give everybody, or if you have Fitbits, we keep track of steps. So we encourage people to do that. We have a treadmill desk that gets used quite often. We have a smoking cessation program that we're really pushing. Even from our benefits perspective, we give incentives to those who either have quit or are non-smokers, and so. Pushing sort of that health and wellness platform is really, really important to us, as well as healthy snacks. Like we do provide a lot of snacks, but they're very, very healthy. We don't have sodas or anything like that that are specifically available in our area where our employees can purchase or get food. So we kind of try to, steer them towards more healthy options when they're at work.
So we're talking about scaling up the culture. What did you learn the hard way that make you rethink how you approach employee engagement and employee experience?
I think the reason that we did not actually document our sort of culture, if you will, was until 2010, which was 4 years into the company, was because we felt like in the beginning it was passed on sort of by osmosis, right? Mm-hmm. It was just kind of the way it was, and you didn't have to really necessarily describe it or tell people about it. You came in, you were hired, you sat next to somebody who was doing a like job, and you just kind of learned the lay of the land, right? And until 2010, when we've taken 2 rounds of funding into the organization. One in 2010 was an angel round, and one of the first things we did with the money was to hire more resources. And so as we did that, it quickly we felt this cultural shift in that first 6 months as we recognized that we had hired more people during that 6 months that had been in the company for the previous 4 years. And so there was this shift of people not sort of understanding what is it like to be here. And so that's why we did that sort of exercise that I talked about earlier of actually truly documenting and setting up sort of this program of the culture cruise, employee orientation, if you will, of how important that is to really get people set on the right foot as you sort of move through the company or get going within the organization in your role. And so during that period, we had some attrition that we had never really experienced before in terms of, I guess you would call it a bad hire, where it wasn't really a fit, where we just were trying to hire people because we really had a lot of work to get done. And so one of the hard lessons was to hire slow, fire fast, right? To not let or to take your time to really find the right people for the position and truly make sure that we are doing a cultural fit consciously. And then second is to not sort of let a bad hire linger for too long, because it can really, be a cancer in your organization in terms of, negativity and loss of productivity in certain areas, and it even takes longer to sort of recover sometimes from that if you've let it go on too long. And so I think that was probably one of the biggest lessons in terms of employee engagement and sort of the true culture of the organization, how strong that is, and how important it is to really allow people to thrive here. And I would say that one of the other big things that we consciously talk about during the recruiting process and the hiring process is that and talk about this with our new potential hires, our recruits, is this is a two-way street. That is not just us saying, yep, you fit, we want you in this organization, that they have to also in turn say, this is a place I want to be. This is somewhere that I think that I fit in. Because when you have that two-way mutual consideration, that's when magic happens versus someone being unsure and we being very sure. It's just like in a relationship, right? To make sure that both sides are fully in agreement that this is really a good mutual fit that can, at the end of the day, cause happiness, which is what we want, right?
What does your office space look like?
So we don't perform any physical therapy here. We are a software company. And so our space is, if you can imagine, a big old warehouse. Our actual building, believe it or not, used to be a sausage factory. It is in an old warehouse that was built back in the 60s. It's got beautiful wood barrel roofs, but just wide open, polished concrete floors, big wide open spaces. And so we filled that with different areas of desk spaces, but it's a very open, collaborative sort of environment where you've got sort of rows or bullpens of desks, depending on sort of your department and how you operate. And so you can, just kind of lean back and talk to your partner. Some of the areas in which we have more direct sort of phone experience with customers have, not really cubes. They're sound attenuation boards that go around you, but still never sort of fully engross you. Mm-hmm. Because we still want to kind of keep that open collaborative feel. We have a large container. A shipping container, one of those big, huge ones that you see on trains that we've cut out into a private office that sits in the middle of our warehouse. But it's truly Mas with Manos. It's very open, not a lot of flash, but also very fun. Everybody decorates their desk, and so you see a lot of pop and color. Again, we like to be transparent with how we're doing and celebrate our wins. And so you'll see scoreboards around sort of KPIs in different departments and goals that they're trying to accomplish. We have sort of big TVs around so that you can we have scrolling sort of great awards that we've won and positive kudos, culture champion, all kinds of fun things that are scrolling as you can so that you can see as you're walking by. And then we have an area in which we like to. It's kind of like our cafeteria. It's not really a cafeteria, but it's a place where you can actually go get healthy foods and purchase them. And then we have outside patios that you can actually sit and eat and kind of congregate together as a group. We're actually going through a full building renovation right now, so it's even going to be spiffier, if you will, within the next 9 months. So we're super excited about that to really kind of make this place pop even more.
As we discussed, you're a software company. So how do you see the place of technology in the employee experience?
Yeah, technology for us has been a couple different ways we're using it. So one, we capture, like every event that we go to, we like to capture attendance because we really want to see, are the events that we're doing really engaging a wide variety of people and from different departments. That has been one of our big, especially as we've gotten bigger and more specialized in our hires, that we want people to know and continue to know people in other areas and other departments because communication becomes that much easier when you're not siloed to your own space. And so we really capture some different KPIs through using sort of different invite platforms to where we know who's attending all of the events that we put on. I think one of the biggest areas that we've been able to do that is we use the eNPS score, which is an employee net promoter score. So if you're familiar with Net Promoter, it is a scoring platform that a lot of software companies use with their customers to basically understand one question: and how likely is it that you would recommend this widget, if you will, to your friends and family. And so we've sort of tweaked that in terms of how likely is it that you would recommend our company to your friends and employees, to sort of get hired. And so we use the same sort of the same Net Promoter Score scoring methodology in terms of 9 and 10s are promoters, anything from 6 to 8 are passives, and then anything below 6 is a non-promoter or someone who's not super happy with you. And so we have taken that. We do it twice a year to sort of engage how we're doing, as far as employee engagement and how well, all of the things that we're doing is being received. And so we've been really happy. I mean, our scores are upward of 50 every year, or that we've done this so far.
That's
the last
really
few years. It is really high. And we've won, best places to work multiple years in a row. So we're getting this sort of, objective feedback as much as we can. And we love sort of getting the feedback so that, we can continue to implement things that people are asking for them and people that they really care about. Our benefits in sort of HRM, a human resources management system. So we have an HRM system in which our employees can engage with, where they can get all of their information in one sort of place, all of their performance reviews, that they can see, any new news that they have, that we have for them from an HR perspective or benefits perspective. All of that sort of is housed in one place, so they have easy access to a lot of that information. And are able to get feedback from their supervisors and their team leads more on a regular basis, if it's not done face to face, but through that platform.
Right. One area that is really hard to grasp for executives is how you define metrics and how you measure the success of EX initiatives and the impact on the business as a whole. So you mentioned about the NPS. score. Do you have any other metrics to measure the effectiveness of EX initiatives on the overall business success?
Sure. We look at attrition rate. I think that's a big one, obviously, that, when you want to retain employees, and we look at not only the overall percentage over time, we look at it at different increments. So when are they leaving, right? If we do have employees that leave, are they leaving within the first 6 months? Are they leaving after 4 years, right? And so we're constantly monitoring some of that, and altering sort of either our culture crews, if they're leaving too soon, or we're looking at our recruiting and hiring process, if they are, not sticking around for long enough, or there's just different areas, and we take a lot of feedback in that. So the attrition rate is one that is pretty important to us. ENPS is another. The engagement percentage of, like I said, we look at the different events that we put on and how many people actually attend, and are they actually happy with the outcome of what it was. And then we also look at, our where are we getting our recruits? Where are we getting our referrals for potential new employees? And it has really stayed pretty steady at 25% are internal referrals, and so we love to see that metric. That means that people like working here, and they want to bring their friends, they want to bring their family members here to be here. And so we constantly sort of monitor the referral rate and where those are coming from as well.
And you have big and smaller tech companies in the Phoenix area. So how do you guys compete with other tech companies to recruit top talents?
Yeah, that's
you mentioned
hard.
Referrals, which is a big one, but do you guys do any other things? Like, do you have an employer brands team, or a couple of people who actually manage your employee brands? Do you do a lot of recruiting events?
Mm-hmm. Yes, we do quite a few recruiting events. We're not alone in this. I think recruiting top tech talent is something that is being talked about across the nation. It's an issue just in the United States in general, but definitely here in Phoenix, in the greater Arizona area, we do quite a few things. It's part of my role as well, just external facing. I do a lot of speaking engagements. We have a recruiting team that goes out to different events. And again, winning some of the awards like the and we have to submit for those, best places to work, most admired company in Arizona. We've won multiple times, things like that sort of get you the PR press around being a great company.
Yeah.
But then it's also, it's also that brand, and what we love is that it's very organic. People love wearing WebPT shirts around. We give people swag within the organization because it's just part of who we are, but people love wearing it outside. So it just portrays that brand even further. And I love, hearing stories that they always come back with. I was hiking Camelback Mountain. Someone stopped me and saw my WebPT shirt, and they said, "Oh my gosh, you work for WebPT. I've heard that's an amazing company." Right. And so when you start hearing that more and more, you've really kind of had that ripple effect. Mm-hmm. And, we've been around. So we have 300 employees today, but we've been around for 9 years. I would say probably over the 9 years, we've had, over 450 employees. And a lot of the employees that we have lost have gone on to go elsewhere to, some of them, as we started getting, into a larger organization, they love the startup mode. And so they've gone on to other startups within, Phoenix, taken the knowledge that they've gained here, and now are helping others within the ecosystem to come up and have success as well. And so, that sort of, progress that we're seeing within the technology ecosystem here in Arizona, we have been sort of a pinnacle of that success in terms of going from startup to having a very successful organization. There are other major companies here that have been around for a long time, GoDaddy and Honeywell and Infusionsoft, a lot of other tech companies as well that, American Express, those are large organizations that we're competing with, but those are very different organizations, right? At the definitely very different culture, very different feel, and so people are very attracted to what we've done and how we like to do things. And I think that that's really important for us in the recruiting sort of atmosphere. And we portray that again with everything that we do, from that job description. And when we're out at a recruiting booth, how we look and feel. We're in t-shirts and jeans. We're not, in shirts and ties and maybe colored shirts that everybody else has. So we kind of, from the very beginning, sort of portray this really cool vibe that is very attractive and approachable, very important, approachable to many people.
Very interesting. Now, let me ask you a few fun questions before we conclude this interview. So, you studied before being a very successful entrepreneur, you studied as a physical therapist. As a child, what was your dream job? Was it to be a PT? Was it to be something else?
So I've gone through many iterations of my dream job. I think my very first one was to be a dolphin trainer. I grew up in Florida, and SeaWorld was right there. And anytime we had visitors come, that we would end up going to SeaWorld. And I just loved the dolphin trainer. So I thought that was cool. Veterinarian, always been sort of akin to animals. Veterinarian was a big one. When I entered college, into university, I was actually pre-med. And then got injured my junior year, and that's how I actually changed and pivoted to become a physical therapist instead, because I had such a great experience with a physical therapist that I didn't end up having surgery and went on to be able to play for 2 more years, and so that's sort of how my trajectory as a PT came about.
Okay, if you were to invite a historical figure to dinner, who would you choose and why?
Ooh, that's a tough one. Historical figure. If I have to go with historical figure, I would probably say Michelle Obama. I've had a lot of respect for what she stood for. The way that she was in office, just was full of grace and sort of dignity, but also just continue to push her own initiatives, which I love, sort of the whole healthy eating for kids and, the pediatric obesity issue that is still ongoing today, and sort of really promotion of exercise. So she's had a lot of things that are akin to sort of my own sort of passions. And so I think she would be a great one. If I didn't have to go historical, I would probably say Madonna. I've been a fan since I was very young. But she is just such a badass and reinvented herself so many times over the years and has remained relevant for such a long period of time. I have so much respect for what she's been able to accomplish, and been a mom, and all that kind of stuff along the way. So, 2 very different people, but I think that would be fun.
No, that's an awesome answer. I love it. What is the essential item that you always take with you when you go on vacation?
Well, let's see. That's a really good one. I think, well, first of all, I am a carry-on person, so I am not a big packer. I love to just pack only the essentials. And every time, no matter if it's cold or warm, I always pack a bathing suit because I love the water, and I love sort of if there's a hot tub or anything like that. I think it's fun to find sort of a place to just relax. The majority of my vacations are closer to a beach, so that's an essential, obviously, to go. So I guess that's what I would say.
And what is your favorite food?
My favorite food is sushi. I am half Japanese. I've grown up eating sort of sashimi and sushi all of my life, and it's still one of my favorite foods today.
Good. Finally, last question. What is the way for our listeners to follow you and WebPT on social media?
Awesome. I am all over social media. You can follow me on Twitter at the handle Heidi Jannenga. You can follow WebPT. WebPT also has a handle, just WebPT. I'm on LinkedIn as well. Both WebPT and myself are on LinkedIn, as well as WebPTs on Instagram and Pinterest and Facebook. So we have a Facebook page as well. For me, I kind of keep Facebook private to my private life. So really it's Twitter or LinkedIn that you can follow me professionally on social media.
All right, and I will add all those links to the introduction for the episode as well. So our listeners will be able to get on those links and follow you and WebPT on social media easily.
Sounds great.
Thanks for tuning in to the EX Podcast. If you want to learn more, visit our website at expodcast.com. If you want to find out more about our next conferences, go to exsummit.com. Finally, you can also find my manifesto on business to employee or B2E branding at b2ebranding.co. See you next week.